as a CEO, this was my first time. So I was a first-time CEO, and that's never easy. And for that success, I think you need several pieces to come together. Obviously, in my case, having the support of my co-founders and colleagues around me was extremely important, because as a first-time CEO, you're essentially learning on the job.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. I definitely did that, learned on the job.
Welcome to a new episode at Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival. Today, I'm thrilled to have in the room with me Maaz Sheikh. He is the co-founder and the CEO of StarzPlay. StarzPlay is the top video-on-demand platform in the region. Maaz has played a pivotal role in the platform's success, overseeing a major investment deal that led to a valuation of $420 million. He's not only a business leader, but also a very powerful voice on LinkedIn, and has been named as the Media CEO of the Year by CEO Magazine. He's also been listed among the GCC 100 Inspiring Leaders and the DXP 100 Influential People Helping Shape the Emirate. It's an honor to have you with me in the room. Welcome, Maaz.
Thank you, Hiba. Pleasure.
So we'll dig a bit deep in your journey and the innovations at StarzPlay, but we'd like to start with what inspired you to create or to launch StarzPlay.
My background before coming back to the UAE. So I grew up here. I went to school in Sharjah, not too far from here, elementary and middle school here. But then I grew up here and came back to the region in 2005. But in between that period, I had done a few startups in Silicon Valley. And so I had the startup tech bug, if you will, in me. But coming back to the region, I took a stable salaried job, and I did that for 9-10 years. And so it reached a point where I was 45 years old and felt like it was sort of now or never type of a moment. But it was also a little bit about my father and my grandfather. They had made several attempts at their own entrepreneurial journeys. And I felt like there was some unfinished business in the family. So for me, it was more of family inspiration more than anything else, and some personal motivation, if you will.
And growing and scaling businesses, generally, they come with their own set of challenges and difficulties. How do you see that your leadership style evolved over the years, given where you are at the moment and where you started?
Look, 10 years is a long time, and a lot has changed. First of all, I was, as a CEO, this was my first time. So I was a first-time CEO. And that's never easy, and for that success, I think you need several pieces to come together. Obviously, in my case, having the support of my co-founders and colleagues around me was extremely important, because as a first-time CEO, you're essentially learning on the job.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. I definitely did that, learned on the job and adjusted. Secondly, you need patient shareholders. So I remember there were a few years when we were at a point where we had reached 1 million subscribers. We'd reached that critical mass that we were no longer a startup. And I thought about passing the baton to one of my former CEOs who's much more experienced in bigger organizations and scaling businesses, and had that discussion with my co-founder as well as shareholders. And so I was, that thought did cross my mind, but it's always encouraging when your partners and your shareholders tell you, put their hand on your shoulder and say, look, everyone has a difficult year. We're investing in you and we're betting on you. So that was very confidence building for me, if you will. So in a lot of ways, I learned on the job, and I was fortunate to have people around me that believed in me and supported me, and not only gave me an opportunity, but saw the potential in me, the CEO I could become, 10 years from now, rather than what I was 10 years ago.
Very inspiring. Given, let's say, following up on this point that you mentioned, do you believe that you hire people over their skills? So, for example, you hire character over skills, or what do you look for normally when you hire?
So character is a must. To me, character is a must. I think skills versus attitude. I think there are certain jobs where skills are a must-have as well as character, right? But then there are certain roles where attitude makes up, even if the skills aren't there, right? So a good example is if you're in a very technical role. You cannot make up for the lack of skills with simply attitude. Yeah. If you're in a more general role, attitude can make up for skills. So I would say it's a combination.
Okay. And what challenges did StarzPlay face in securing the $420 million, and how did the team navigate them?
So I think perhaps the biggest challenge we faced at that time, and we face today, is that we're in a global business now, right? And we're competing with the likes of Netflix and Disney and major regional platforms like Shahid. So we find ourselves sandwiched between Netflix and Netflix of the region, which is Shahid, and then there's us. So we're always neck to neck with two major brands and players. So that's the competitive challenge in our market, that we're competing with some very, very successful and major brands and finding our own balance. And the way we do that is we don't believe in competing with Netflix head to head.
Okay.
We differentiate our service, we differentiate our product. And that's the only way to scale our business.
How do you differentiate yourself from Netflix and Disney Plus? So, how do you stay ahead of the competitive streaming industry?
Sure. So, I think one theme that's been constant throughout our 10-year history is we've localized our content, localized our service a lot faster and a lot more personalized than anyone else. So what I mean by that is, for example, we were one of the first few services to bring anime to the region, and then we were bringing Japanese anime, but then we were dubbing it in 3 or 4 Arabic dialects. We were dubbing it in Khaliji, we were dubbing it in Fusa, Egyptian. So we made sure our product was a lot more localized because we understood the market better than the global platforms did. The second good example of that localization is we entered into sports long before anyone else did. So our first UFC event was 4 years ago, when UFC was just beginning to pick popularity in the region. We then expanded into cricket, expanded into football, basketball. So we've been gradually expanding our offering in sports, understanding audience, and then serving their needs.
How do you view the future of streaming in the region, and specifically in the MENA region at the moment?
So we are strong believers that there's a lot more growth to come. We believe that today the industry penetration rates for streaming services in our region are about 15 to 20%. So if you look at the number of homes in the region that are willing to pay for a streaming service, we've reached about 15 to 20% of that market opportunity, whereas similar markets in Europe and North America, they have anywhere from 70% to 100% penetration. So we do think that growth and that upside is yet to come. What remains is for us to make that product and make that offer compelling to to those who haven't subscribed to our service yet.
What advice do you give entrepreneurs and innovators, let's say, to attract major investors like you've done?
So I think every journey and every idea is different. What worked for us might not always be applicable to others, but there are a few, I would say, consistent themes. One is, as much as in this journey, believing in your own ideas and believing in your vision is important, having that conviction is important, having that confidence is important. I think it's equally important to have humility and to accept that, I've been speaking to hundreds of investors and this part of my pitch or this part of my product or my vision isn't working. And I need to change that. I think that humility, listening, that ability to listen to that feedback and adapt is extremely important. I think the second thing I would say is, this journey is very difficult, and you need to start with a deeper purpose, because if you don't have that deeper purpose, when things get difficult, it's going to become more difficult to hang on to it. So you need that. What is it that you really are aiming for, and make sure that deeper purpose will take you through whatever is going to come your way.
Being recognized as the Media CEO of the Year is a very big achievement. What leadership qualities sets you apart at the moment?
Education-wise and early experience-wise, I'm an engineer, and I spent my early years in professional life as an engineer and then building products. So I think that inquisitive and logical mind and experience has helped me throughout my entire life. I think if one can balance the logical side of your brain and that problem-solving mind with the other side of the brain, with creativity and openness, makes for a good combination. And I feel my education and experience has helped me do that. And I think that's a good combo to have.
Now that we are at Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival, it's full of very young innovators, amazing ideas for startups. What are your advice? Let's say if you had to pick two advices for those young innovators or startup founders, what are those two advices that you would choose?
So I got to meet a few of them throughout the day, and it is, I have to be honest, it is inspiring for me to meet some very young people, some very ambitious people. A very young person came to me and he's like, how do you get through this journey if you're not getting paid? And he was very young, and maybe he's in a university right now. And in some ways, you need that naivete. You need that, greenfield thinking. You're not clouded by responsibilities of life. You're not clouded by all the mistakes you've made. So when you're very young, you can also take that risks, right? So one advice would be, learning from this young gentleman that I met downstairs, is that start early, right? And because you have a long runway, and inshallah you'll be blessed with success. But if you're not, you have,
it's a phase.
It's a phase, and you will adjust and you will learn from it. So that's one. The second one, the advice I would give is that, especially. This is true in tech, especially in tech entrepreneurial journeys. You need the right team with you. because you cannot be a technologist, a marketeer,
Yeah.
and running the business yourself. This was a big part of our success. While I'm the face of the company, I've been the CEO, but clearly, throughout the 10 years, I was surrounded by some key co-founders in the business that where I was, there are certain areas, not certain, it's a long list, it's not my strength, and that's the gaps they were filling in. So I would say always look for co-founders and team to surround yourself with to fill in those gaps, because we don't have to take that burden. The expression I use is, not all of us are Steve Jobs, right?
True
he was a very extraordinary entrepreneur, but most of us need the right skills around us.
For sure. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure having you. I know that you're having a very busy day. Everyone wants to get a piece of your experience. You're very wanted today, but I'm very grateful that you gave us time to have a quick chat with us. Thank you so much again, Maaz.
Thank you, Hiba.
Thank you.
Thank you.